comes out true.
We're supposed to be kind to people and forgiving. So that's how we're like him.
Okay.
We put so mercy to other people.
Well, we're human, and Jesus is only human.
He also had problems like us. He just handled them better.
Well, the scripture says that he was like us in every way and tempted like us in every way, yet without sin.
Well, I think we are like Jesus because God created Jesus in his own form, in a human form. He is the Son of God. And just like us as humans, we are made in God's eyes also.
Get away from yourself. Put somebody else first. Don't think, how is this going to affect me? Is this going to make me look better? Is this going to make Christ look better?
When other people get busy and they're involved with their own home lives and families and jobs, just call them and tell them that you miss them, because sometimes they don't think you even care. It's just because you got them in the church, people think that's enough, but sometimes that ain't enough. And sometimes you need to call them and say, hey, I just thought of you today, where you been? Or, hey, you want to go for coffee? Or that's how you encourage them to still keep coming.
I don't know, maybe like find more convenient times for people to go. Maybe like not everybody's able to go on Sunday morning, so.
As I was interviewing the one gentleman, I was like, hey, you're the pastor of the Moravian Church. That's where my kids go to preschool. He thought he could sneak in. I knew who he was. Okay, I want to ask you a real quick question. What is the main reason that we use, kids can go ahead and, as they're leaving for children's church, they can go ahead and leave if they want. As they're leaving, though, I want to ask you the question, what's the main reason we use a Post-it note? Why do you use Post-it notes? You just shout it out for me. To remember. Man, how'd you get that? To remember something. If you were to walk into my office, which I'm not recommending anybody do right at this moment because I've been going through my literature and books to prepare for message, and so my office is a bit of a mess, you would not want to put a Post-it note on my desk because you would not find it. But if I want to find something, I will stick it on my computer screen. I'll stick it on the window of my office because when I get that, 100-yard stare going and I'm looking out the window, all of a sudden that thing will come into focus and I'll see that note. We use Post-it notes to remember. This morning's service, the key that I want you to walk away with is the idea of remembering. And I'm going to kind of help you know what to remember. How many parents would be willing to confess this morning they've ever forgotten their child somewhere? Anybody other than the pastor? Yeah. One Sunday following church in Tip, we were in charge of the children's church. And we ran a preschool out of the Tip church. And so once children's church was done, we were required to put away tables and chairs because we used the gym floor. We were required to sweep up. Otherwise, I'd have an irate preschool director. I had to greet every parent and individually hand off the kids to the parents to make sure the right kids went home with the right parents. Did all that sort of stuff. As soon as I was done, my title was Family Life Pastor, so then I would run up and I would make sure I tried to shake hands with teen parents. I would try to keep the teen boys, as they were shooting basketballs, from knocking out little old ladies trying to go to their cars to the gym. I would try to meet new families and shake their hands, do all that, and then I would make sure that the church was locked up. And as I did all that, usually, I didn't have 5 kids at that time. I think we had 2. Annika might have been an infant. Well, we would just tell the boys, hey, go play in the gym. And so they go down and play in the gym. Well, we loaded up we could all fit in the Escape at that time. We loaded up in the Escape, and Serena and I headed out because we went to my parents' house following church service and had Sunday dinner, and then it was closer than our home, and we could just relax and have our Nazarene naps, and the boys had toys in the basement and a playroom, and it was all great. We're headed there. We've gone through at least 1, if not 2 lights, and Serenity looks at me and goes, "Where's Noah?" And I was like, oh, no. And he was young at the time, and as soon as we could, we turned around. We drove back. The gym of that church had classrooms that surrounded it. And Noah had gone into a classroom facing the parking lot where there was a window, and he actually saw us pulling away. He pounded his little arms onto the glass, yelling, and we heard nothing. It was devastating. I walked in, and Noah just kept saying over and over, "You forgot me, you forgot me." So if he's a little messed up, it's because his mom and dad messed him up. Have you ever been forgotten? And really, have you ever been forgotten? Have you ever been a part of an experience where people that you work with, who you call friends, have all gotten together and you were left out of the invitation? Teens, something's going on with people at school and there's an invitation to be a part of some activity, and you find out everybody but you has been left out. And in the advent of cell phones, maybe the message accidentally got texted to you. Have you ever been forgotten? What does that feel like? I would like to think that I've never forgotten anybody, but the truth is I have. I'm human. I have made mistakes. I've forgotten people. I've been forgotten. It's a hurtful experience. This morning, I just want to call your attention to a couple verses, and I don't have my lapel mic this morning, so you'll have to bear with me. But if you have your Bibles, open up to John chapter 4 this morning. John 4, a story we're very familiar with, and I just want to read verse 7 through 9. When a Samaritan woman came to draw water, Jesus said to her, "Will you give me a drink?" His disciples had gone into town to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "You are a Jew, and I am a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink? For Jews do not associate with Samaritans." She was forgotten. I mean, this particular text has been preached how many times? How many times have pastors or evangelists or speakers? I'm sure in your lifetime, if you've attended church at all, you've heard probably every little nugget of information that's found within this story, because it's a very popular story. And the reason why is because we can all, at some level, identify with the woman in this story. She was forgotten. She was overlooked. She was ignored. The cost of being her friend was socially too high of a price to pay. And let's be honest, as we looked at these Post-it notes this morning, the 200 and some that were left up here, many of us had forgotten about those names, hadn't we? And it's not that they were socially unacceptable to spend time with, but we're busy. We have our own family. We have our own agenda. One Sunday passed, 2 Sunday passes, 3 Sundays, a month, and pretty soon we forget that they were even sitting in the pew in front of us. They're forgotten when the cost of being their friend is relatively cheap. How is Jesus like us? Well, I want to let you know this morning that Jesus knows what it feels like to be ignored. In Mark 3:31 to 32, it appears that Jesus' mother, Mary, who we hold in such high regard at Christmas time, and brothers are trying to rein him or at minimum control his ministry. Maybe it's for protection. Maybe they want to be in charge. I'm not sure what they had in mind, but they had their own agenda. They ignored what Jesus wanted to do. Later in Mark 14, Peter, for all of his promises, ignores the warning of Jesus. He denies knowing him. And finally, at the end of that gospel, as well as all the other gospels, we know he was abandoned by his closest friends, who called him teacher and friend, and he was rejected on the cross. It's for these reasons, being forgotten, ignored, and abandoned, that his teachings mean so much to us. And by teachings, we're not just talking about words. We don't serve a savior of great speeches. Thank goodness Jesus is not a politician. He's more than the words that he spoke, because when he spoke words, he placed those words into action. His words were empowered by his service. Now he sits here, and without candy coating this story, he's sitting here talking with an adulterous woman. He is offering her a place in his kingdom. A person rejected, and if we're rightly honest this morning, as he's speaking to her about forgiveness, she's a woman we would have rejected. I'm not going to ask you ladies to raise your hands, but a lady who has a reputation is talking to your husband, and you see it. The reason why she has been married 5 times is because she is known for getting around. And she's talking with your husband. And you know in the back of your mind, or at least you're thinking, she is going after my guy. How are you going to feel about her? Is your first thought going to be, man, I got to invite that girl to church. She needs to know Jesus. Or is it going to be, you better step away before I have to, and you fill in the blank? She was not somebody. She had a reputation for a reason. It's not this cute little story about how this poor woman had no friends. She had created her situation. Now, maybe there were some things that were out of her control, but at this point in time, she is not innocent by any means, shape, or form. Yet he is offering her words, and he's demonstrating them by actions, by showing that his interest goes more than her flesh. Have you ever really helped an old lady cross the street? Any of you actually done that? You know, always cartoons and stuff. Nice to see the young man back to raise his hand. I might ask today, have you ever been the Boy Scout? I know my father over the years as a pastor lent my brother and I out as volunteers to numerous people. We were always given to this person or that person to do this or that, but it was never really a volunteer. We were volunteered by him, but we still had to do it whether or not we wanted to. I was thinking the first time I can really remember volunteering, I was a part of a youth group that went to General Assembly with, I think, what was the very first work and witness project called One Heart, Many Hands. And I think they still do that today. It's a massive, large, huge work and witness project that they do whenever they go, the Nazarene have General Assembly and go to a particular city. I was a part of the first one of those. I don't remember what I did. I'm sure it was painting or pulling weeds or something like that. But what I do remember is the feeling I had, the satisfaction I had of doing that service. I was so excited when I came back that I convinced, a couple years later when the church was going on a missions trip, I convinced 3 of my buddies that they ought to go on a work and witness trip with me, and we went to Mexico. My mom and dad didn't go on the trip. I think I was a freshman in high school. My mom and dad didn't go. We went, and one of the guys I worked with, he was my Sunday school teacher. He worked in the construction business, and I remember I worked my fingers to the bone. We mixed concrete with shovels on the ground, and my tennis shoes got concrete into them. Do you know what concrete does to skin? It eats it away. I had holes all over the bottom of my feet. My blisters had blisters. I was in rough shape. But you know what? I never felt more satisfied than the time that I gave, and I sweated and I hurt at that time. We find some sort of satisfaction, do we not, when we do something good for somebody else? It's why we do what we do. It's why, as a church, we bring meals to people. It's why when somebody has suffered loss on one of their farms, many of the guys turn out and work alongside that gentleman on the farm, and I've heard stories of that. It's why we do what we do. It brings us a sense of satisfaction. Don't you think, as Jesus is sitting there with this woman who has gone out in the hottest part of the day to avoid any kind of confrontation with anybody, don't you think as he talks with her, and as he talks with her and he's interested in her, there's a sense that she feels some sort of value and worth? Don't you think Jesus felt good doing that? Jesus is like us. He knows what it's like to be forgotten, to be overlooked, to be abandoned. He also knows what it feels like to serve and the feeling that it brings inside when you serve and you help somebody else. How are we not like Jesus? Well, imagine this morning that no one wants you around. When you come up to a group of peers, their conversation ceases. At best, they stare and ignore you, or at worst, someone speaks up and says, "Why are you here? No one wants to talk to you." You have no real friends. When you're spoken to, it has more to do with being used for something that somebody else wants. This woman's been married 5 times. Her current husband is not her current man is not her husband. Men talk to her for one reason. You know, in the same manner, I've not locked eyes with the destitute at times. I've avoided, and at times, as a younger man, joined in someone harassing one of the social lepers in high school. When someone looks like us, it's sometimes easy to help. However, sometimes to avoid too close of an association, we intentionally, openly reject them, don't we? And we make fun of them and we hurt them. I want to tell you, I'm not like Jesus. I could give you names. I could give you people and times. I could tell you situations. I can tell you when I've lied. I am not a good person, especially in light of who Jesus was and is. I would have rejected this woman at different points in my life. And at other times, I might have wanted to secretly meet with her and have private associations. And you know what I mean by that. However, seeking to publicly accept her and help her, it might have taken the voice of Jesus himself to have convinced me to do such a thing. The hope for us this morning, though, the encouragement for us this morning is how we can be like Jesus. His name was Joel. He lived in a 2-bedroom home with a farm sink as the only source of running water. He wasn't from some other country. He lived outside of an upscale, prominent, white-collar community of Tip City. The house was overrun with cats, and the smell was so overpowering that when you walked through the door, you gagged. And you tried not to because you didn't want to embarrass the people. His mom did not work. She was unkept, and she had a brain tumor that caused her to hear voices. Outside of government assistance, the only source of income was his stepdad, who delivered live bait to various places, various bait and tackle shops. You know, Joel had his own issues. He was constantly hungry. One of the youth group events that we used to do, Lisa, is we used to do a donut run to Krispy Kreme donuts. Sunday evening services would be during the summer when I had extra time and I didn't have to have them back by a certain time. We would immediately following the evening service, we would go on a Krispy Kreme donut run. It would take us a half hour to get there. How many of you ever had fresh Krispy Kreme donuts? I mean, the hot ones. I'm not talking about Dollar General box Krispy Kremes. There is nothing better. As you watch that little assembly line and that donut just getting enveloped in that glaze, and you put that hot donut in your mouth, the problem is there's so much sugar it feels like lead after you get about 2 in your stomach, right? Well, they were teens, and one of the most fun things to do with teens, especially teen boys, was having eating contests. So I bought all the donuts they could eat to see who could eat the most, and the winner I bought a t-shirt for. Joel ate 27 donuts. Then he bought a dozen donuts and ate them on the way home. He was a bottomless pit. He shaved his head to hide the fact that he could not wash his hair on a regular basis. As a young child, he suffered from a heart defect that left him with artificial valves. And when everything was dead quiet, you could literally hear the valves in his heart opening and closing. And for that reason, he'd been given the name TikTok. Socially, he was awkward. He had only a few friends, and he would ride his bike in from the country just to come hang out in my office. Teenage boy, in July, 30 minutes on a bike in your office. Now, you just put that into your thought and think about what he smelled and looked like when he got there. At school and eventually work, when he worked at Kroger's, his peers did nothing but teased him constantly. One evening, as a youth group event, we loaded up in the church van. I had ordered a birthday cake at the Kroger's that he worked at ahead of time, and we loaded up as many kids as we could in the church van, probably more than we should have, and then we also had a few that drove to the local Kroger's. We had about 20 or 25 teens that piled out of the various vehicles as we went inside. We met Joel there, who was shocked to see the whole youth group at his place of work, and then we all sang happy birthday, but we made sure the baggers that were giving him the hard time were there to be able to see and witness the whole thing. And we watched as their jaws just dropped to their toes. His manager gave him an early break, and we all went up into the break room, and we had birthday cake. And there was about a half a cake left, which Joel was thrilled about being able to take home and eat himself. Joel never forgot the youth group. A few years back, Joel asked me if I'd marry him. He lived in Washington, not D.C., the state of Washington. And I told him, Joel, as much as I would love to do that, I just can't afford to fly out to Washington to do a wedding. He's still in contact with the youth group members that were part of that youth group. Joel at one time was forgotten. Joel at one time was overlooked. Joel at one time was abandoned. But the church, through the youth group, did not forget Joel, did not overlook Joel, did not abandon Joel, but they accepted him. And he's still a part of who we are. I was in junior high. I was a believer, but I was not a Christian. You know what I mean by that? I mean, I knew who Jesus was. I knew what Jesus had done for me. I believed all that, but I hadn't made the commitment to follow. There was in Sydney a bridge. It was called the Big Four Bridge. And in this particular bridge, it was built, I forget how many, 150 years ago. When they poured the concrete for this massive railroad bridge, it was poured by horse and mule and wagon. And the story that we were told since we were little kids was that there had been several animals that had fallen into the concrete and that a man was buried alive because he'd fallen in the concrete and they couldn't get him out. I mean, that's something that sticks with you. One night I had a dream that I was at the Big Four Bridge when it was being poured, and I had fallen into the concrete, and miraculously I had fallen into an air pocket, and immediately when I fell into the air pocket, it solidified all around me. And I beat upon the wall. I tried to let people know I was alive, but nobody could hear me. As I began to dream, the next image I saw was a black screen with a white line, and there were four white dots on one side and one white dot on the other. And as I zoomed in into that one white dot, there I was against an enormous black wall, and I was screaming and I was crying and I was beating against it. And I zoomed out and I zoomed back into the four other dots, and it was my mom and my brother and my sister and my dad, and they were laughing and it was sunny, but you could not hear my cries. It was a vision of hell. It was a vision of spiritually where I was at. The worst part about it was not the fact that I was in hell. The worst part about it was that my family had forgotten me. My family had forgotten me. The good news for us is we can be like Jesus this morning. We can choose not to ignore. We can choose not to forget or abandon the names that we've moved into the pews out here this morning. We can pray for these people. We can call these people. We can send them a card. We can visit them. And if we are brave enough, we can even invite them into our homes. The point is, we can remember them. We can remember them. This morning, I've asked the ministries of the church, those that would like to participate, to make some posters. And I'm going to ask if you would be willing to come grab your poster this morning and just stand on one of the walls around the sanctuary. So grab yours if you can. Teens, you might have to help me because some people have two, and I don't know that they're all going to stick to the wall. And I'd just like for you to stick these posters up if you can. If they won't stick, hold them. Ask yourself this: why is it that we do ministries in the church? Why do we have separate individual ministries? You know, it's an attempt as an organization to not leave anybody out. It's an attempt to find people a place to fit in and be accepted and loved. It's an attempt to find a place for them to be a part of the kingdom. It's an attempt by us to remember. But often what happens is we organize the ministries, don't we? And then they become just a part of what we're doing, and then we forget. The whole point to remember is lost. And we operate the ministries because we've always operated the ministries. In order for us to do what we are called to do, to get the 337 names, in order to get October 9th, 222, it's not just about the board, it's not just about the pastor, it's not about Sunday school teachers, it's about all of us coming together and working towards one purpose. Now, I'm going to offer you an opportunity this morning. I'm going to pray, and then when I pray to dismiss you, I'm going to offer you the opportunity. Can I get a couple more of these hung up? I've got some that are kind of left out. That one's blank. I want you to take your Post-it note. There's extra Post-it notes up here. I did this on purpose. As you look around this morning, you'll see the different ministries. And we're just going to take ministries. You have 60 seconds to say who you are and how you could use help, okay? And then as we close in prayer, if you would say to yourself, I could be and see myself involved in that ministry and trying to connect other people to the church, I want you to take your Post-it note, and I just want you to stick it to the giant Post-it note. Does that make sense? What we're going to do is the ministry leaders are going to have the opportunity to have a meeting and invite you to be a part of that and really talk about how we can involve you. And as we work at trying to involve you, the goal is to reach out and get others. That's why we do what we do. Maybe as you look up here, you might say this morning, I don't see anything that really fits what I'm looking for. Well, you may have an opportunity to create something completely new in Rush, and we welcome that. We want to be whatever we can, all things to all people by some means to reach others for Christ. That's what we want to do. That's who we are. That's what we're about, and that's where we're headed. I'm going to start. Richie, you want to control the mic here? Do not let anybody grab hold of it so we can control. 60 seconds is all you got. And we're going to start here at the Sound Booth Ministry, and then we're going to go around.
Oh, I'm not allowed to hold it. Okay. 60 seconds. Richie's counting. Just so you guys know, about 4 or 5 years ago, I started doing sound booth ministry. I started running sound, running PowerPoint, all that kind of stuff. I was really, really young, and I was into it. 4 or 5 years later, I'm still into it. It's a fire. It's something that I have. Not everybody's into sound booth ministry. I understand that. But it's something that we sorely need people for. In a year, just 1 year, me and Richie are going to be gone. And when that happens, nobody's going to be here really that knows everything, all right? Me and Richie are like the sound booth guys. All right, so we need people like Travis here, people who are volunteering, ready to understand some of it. Not all of it, but we need a lot of people who are dedicated and willing to help out. Because believe it or not, this is an area that's very, very important, and I don't believe our church could run without it. Or at least it wouldn't be the same without it. So I'm asking for people, if you want, put your name up here. You don't need to know anything. Anything at all. We're here to teach you. We're here to have fun. We always have fun up in the sound booth. You see we make mistakes all the time. I'm running out of time. But we do have a good time, and it's for the Lord. So please, 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 please.
Like I said, we're not going to be here in a year, so I need somebody to really step up and be the head sound guy. So please prayerfully consider that. Ministry and movies, you've heard all about it. We're making a movie. It's coming along great. We're having a filming scene right after this. Seriously, anybody can be involved. If you want to be a camera guy, learn how the equipment works. You want to be an actor. If you can sew, I need costumes. I need locations. If your house is pretty, you're like, hey, film at my house. Okay, if you have a work site, that could be used too. Senior Adult Ministries, who wants to?
Senior Adult Ministries, Save Ministries is exactly what it is. They get together, spend time together. We do not want any group in our church to be left out, and that includes senior adults. We want you to be involved. And so Regina, Keith, and Debbie Clark run that, but I am sure they can use any help that you can give them. Okay.
Women's Ministry, have Serenity talk about that.
Basically, it's just serving women. Outreach, support, hospitality, special events, fellowship, communication. If you want to serve women, come see me.
And the reverse?
Put your name on there. Never mind, don't come see me. Put your tag up there.
And the reverse of that would be men, countrymen of Christ. I'll hand this to you.
Well, about like Serenity said, it's what you see. Mine has nothing on it. I got a plan this year. We've been doing the same events over and over. We might still do a couple, but I want to see a whole bunch of new events on that board. So if you guys want to do anything, you better come up with something.
The fire department and the school run the auction. 50% of the proceeds go to the school. Bob Clark was, without a doubt, our biggest champion of it. We've, of course, lost Bob. We could really, really use the church to step up, and because it's a big event, and it's I would guess that's the biggest fundraiser for the school all year. So let's do it.
WOW is we would like to start a Saturday morning women's study, the same time as CMC. What better way to have a Saturday morning date with your wife than to both go to the school? And as Eric is encouraging and trying to strengthen the men to be better men of Christ, well, we would like to also do that with women. We need to help strengthen and encourage women with the Word of God. And I have also talked with Lisa and Johnson and Dee Brewer, and so that's what we want to do. We want to reach out to the women at the same time that Eric and the guys are reaching out to the men, and to encourage and strengthen.
Sorry, I made a mistake.
Would you? Oh, I'm not.
I'm sorry.
He must think that I'm going to talk a long time. Missions, Nazarene Missions International. There are lots of ways you can be involved. Pray. Everyone can do that. The other one is to be educated. And to do that, we have missionary reading books for kids and youth. We also have, you can listen to it on a CD while you're traveling in your car. Take an alabaster box home. There are alabaster boxes for adults and kids. And the Thanksgiving offering for World Evangelism will be coming up. And Compassionate Ministries, someone to help organize and collect things for the Crisis Care Kit, School Pal Packs, or even ladies, you can get together and roll bandages. I have bandage rollers and old sheets. And they still use them on the mission field. When you go to hear Jeff and Susan on October the 23rd, Susan will attest the fact that, yes, these rolled bandages are used.
Up here. Oh, I'll talk about that too. Worship team, if you like singing, you don't have to play an instrument. We need up here people like Gabe that can do the motions, can clap along. You don't have to play an instrument. Maybe you like singing. We don't know if you like singing. So, or if you play an instrument too that we don't know of, come up here and make yourself known.
Caravan. We meet on Wednesday evening. We cover the ages from pretty small, Benson's, through kindergarten through second, and then third through sixth. It is modeled after scouting, and we try to do things like that. And we've done all sorts of things. I have pictures up here of things we've done over the past few summers, things that we are doing now. Actually, a whole list of badges that are offered. We don't do all of them. We don't do the badges, actually, but they are the lessons that we try to teach. I have Sunday school.
Oh, and Sunday school.
Sunday school is probably our largest department in the church and requires the most help. We try to offer a class for every age group, starting again with, the time that you can sit in class and listen all the way through. We actually have a children's class for each age group. We're trying to break it down one more. We have toddlers, then we have kindergarten through second. We're going to start a new class, third and fourth graders, and then we're going to have what we have now, fifth and sixth graders. So we have a whole children's department. The youth have a department for junior high, senior high. Then we have career and college, and then we move into adult classes. We started a new adult class for the seriously young adults and young married couples. We have a class that's been called young adults till the age probably 50, so that class is misnamed. We have an alternative class, and then we also have a Bible class over here. And the classes are almost all using the dialogue series. We're right now, all 3 classes are teaching from pressure points. It just happened, but we have others. And Betty's class uses material, and Kyle and Kristen's using material from the Nazarene Publishing House. Thank you.
All right, now van ministry.
Yeah, most of these things you look around and see, senior adult ministries, CMC, caravan, Sunday school, worship. This is how some of us get here. So we need drivers, we need riders. Our church a few years ago implemented NAS Safe. So we need a driver and an adult, 2 adults on the van. So it takes several bodies. Now we're going to come up here with 222 day. And we're going to probably have to run 2 vans or maybe some cars. So I'm going to need extra bodies then. So if you have any interest in getting people around, if maybe you're, what's that called when you're a neat freak? I can use an organizer, but OCD. There we go. You're OCD. Maybe you want to spend some time out here just cleaning the vans for us. That's always nice.
And last but not least, youth.
All right, the youth ministry. I feel Rush has a really strong youth ministry, but we can always keep growing. And maybe you've not been nominated to serve on the youth council, but you would like to be a part of it. That doesn't matter. We use anyone that would like to be a part to help with youth ministry. The youth ministry usually is 6th grade through senior in high school, but we also can involve the college and career ages too. And we are always looking for leaders to teach on youth group night, to help drive the vans when we need to go somewhere, and we need chaperones for district events, and it's a great time. You get to know people, get to know the teens.
These posters are going to be up this morning, and then we're going to have them up through October the 2nd out here in the foyer, and so you can continue with your names. If you all of a sudden said, I didn't know this was going on, Pastor, I wasn't here last Sunday. You know, I've got extra of these things. If you're interested in trying to set something up, the point being, we want to connect people to the church. We want them to know that they have not been forgotten. And not one person, not one board, not a Sunday school teacher can do all that. We need all of us working together to reach that. So you need to make a poster then. Regina, we'll get Regina to make one up. Let me pray for you, and then there is extra, if you want to put your name up there today, if you want to do it sometime in the next 2 weeks, but there are extra Post-it notes. You don't have to do just one. Lord, thank you for the opportunity of being here. Lord, we all know what it feels like to be forgotten. We have been forgotten, and it's hurtful. It's even more hurtful when we feel like the church that's supposed to love us has done it, and it's not done intentionally. We do it by accident. We get caught up in our own agenda, our own lives, and we miss it. Lord, will you enable us to the best of our ability to seek out those that have been forgotten and begin to remember them and welcome them back as a part of the fellowship of Rush Community Church of the Nazarene. Thank you in all that we're going to do and where we're headed and where you're taking us. And everyone said, amen.
All right, Pastor didn't remind you guys, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Richie just left. He's heading to Tents of Grace right now, so if you have nothing else to do and you want a good lunch, head right on over there. They'll have sandwiches and all kinds of good stuff. Thank you very much.